Hey everybody, today we're going to be talking about emergency funds. As you can see in the title, it's titled Do I Need an Emergency Fund? Part 1. So today what I'm going to talk about is what an emergency fund is and a couple of questions that I'm going to present to you so that you can ask yourself to help you determine whether or not you need an emergency fund. So first off, let's go and define what an emergency fund is. So an emergency fund is pretty straightforward. It's really just money set aside to pay for an emergency or something unexpected. It could be anything unexpected that comes up that you weren't really foreseeing that would happen. Could be a surprise medical bill. Could be, hey, I have to file an insurance claim for my homeowner's insurance. Could be an auto claim. Could be a number of different things, but to me, the most common are probably auto insurance, homeowners insurance, an unexpected medical bill if you have to go to the hospital or something like that, or like urgent care, something. So there's many examples of unexpected things in our lives that can come up, and as a result, we need to have money set aside to pay for those things. So so it's just money set aside for a specific purpose in case something happens for an emergency. So now that we know what it is, now I want to get into, do I need one? We need to ask ourselves, do I need an emergency fund? And I'm going to get into a couple of questions to ask that'll help us determine whether or not we need one. So what I want you to do is I want you to ask yourself these two questions that I'm going to present in a little bit. And I want you to answer yes or no. And based on how you answer, that will help us determine whether or not you need an emergency fund or not. Now, for me, when we ask ourselves a question, do I need one? Do I need an emergency fund? I think the answer is always yes, for everybody, because unexpected things happen. We don't know when they're going to happen. It's not really a matter of if, it's when. And when it happens, we want to be as prepared as possible, right? As prepared as we can be. And so for that reason alone, I encourage everybody to have an emergency fund. To me, the question really becomes not so much do I need one, but how much more money do I need in my emergency fund? Personally, that's what I think. But everybody's philosophy on money and managing money is different. But that's just me. So these are the two questions that I want you to ask yourself right now. Question 1 has to do with deductibles. So here's a question. If you needed to file a claim of some type, an auto insurance claim, a homeowner's insurance claim, a renter's insurance claim, a health insurance claim, or medical insurance, any type of claim that involves insurance, would you have enough money to pay your deductible? Now, that's the question, but in case you don't know what a deductible is, I'm going to give you a quick definition of what it is. So your deductible is basically the amount of money that you're going to be responsible for paying before your insurance kicks in and pays for any of the damages. So, for example, like if you have an auto insurance policy and you have some damage to your vehicle, usually your deductible is going to be either $500 or it's going to be $1,000. Okay. Sometimes it's more than 1,000, but usually it's not going to be less than 500. And so if it's $500 and you only have $400 in damages, if you go to file a claim, they're going to tell you, well, unfortunately, yes, it is a covered loss. Well, typically we would pay for the damages, but your deductible is $500 and the damages are only $400, which means you have to cover the first $500 and then we'll cover anything after that. Well, if it's only $400 in damages that you sustained, you're going to be responsible for paying all $400 worth of damages, and the insurance company is not going to pay for anything. So in that situation, you would pay for everything, all the damages out of pocket. And if you don't have enough money saved up for your deductible, I guess you're not going to fix your vehicle because you don't have enough money saved up for it. So that's one reason why you want to have an emergency fund established, is so that you have money to pay for your deductible, to cover your deductible. Another example, an even greater example, is with homeowners insurance. With homeowners insurance, usually you're not going to see a smaller deductible than $500, and it's probably going to be more than that. It's possible it'll be more than that. Could be $1,000. It could also be a percentage of your home value. So if your home is worth $300,000, 1% of that is $3,000. So your deductible would be $3,000. If you have $1 million home, it'd be a $10,000 deductible. So that kind of gives you a better idea of potentially how much deductibles could be for homeowners insurance claims. And again, if you don't have money saved up to cover that type of deductible, and you have to file a homeowners insurance claim, you're gonna have to pay a lot of money from somewhere. You may have to take out a loan. I don't know. You're gonna have to come up with the money from somehow, and that's not a fun situation to be in, right? Because you're probably gonna you might have to get into debt, and then you're gonna have to pay that debt back eventually. So it's just not a fun situation to be in. So that's another reason why I encourage all people, to have an emergency fund established. So the first question that you have to ask yourself is, do I have money saved up to cover my deductibles? Okay, that's question number one. Question number two, which to me might even be a little bit more of an important question than question number one, has to do with career changes. So question two, if you were working and all of a sudden you needed to leave that job, you needed to leave that career and change your career, find a new career, do you have money saved up to help you pay for all of your expenses until you find a new career? It could take a couple weeks, could take a few weeks, could take a couple months, could take a few months. It really depends on the situation, right? So if you experience that type of scenario where you're going through a career change and you need to have money saved up to help you pay for your expenses month to month, and you don't have enough money saved up, what are you going to do? You might have to take out a loan. You might have to borrow some money from somebody. I don't have any experience there. I don't know. You might have to get creative. So you might have to work multiple jobs. I'm not sure. But you have to be creative in how you're going to pay the bills until you find a new stable career. So it's not a fun situation to be in, and that's another reason why I encourage all people to have an emergency fund. So those are two questions to ask, two basic questions, in my opinion, two very pertinent questions. So one, do you have money saved up to pay your deductible in case you need to file a claim? And then two, if you experience a career change, do you have money saved up to help you pay for your expenses until you find your next career? If you answer no to any of those questions, then you probably need to add more to your emergency fund, or at the very least establish an emergency fund first, and then add to it as much as you can as quickly as possible. If you answered yes, though, if you said, yes, I do have money saved up for deductibles, and I do have money saved up for a career change, great job, way to go. You're ahead of the game. You're probably ahead of a lot of people in this country. A lot of our fellow Americans are not able to say that same thing, that they have money saved up. So great job if you answered yes, but you still might need to add more to your emergency fund. So in the next video, in part 2, I'm going to talk a little bit more about how much money you should have in an emergency fund, how many accounts should house an emergency fund, like should I put money in this account and that account and this account, and how do I figure out which accounts, how much money do I put in each one, how to allocate the money more or less. There's strategy behind it. So I'll get into that in greater detail in the next video. But I will say though, if you need an emergency fund after asking yourself these two questions, um, at the very least, what I would do is find a financial institution, find a bank, a credit union. Um, in the description below, I'll actually leave an example of who I've used in the past. And I would say that if you had to do this tomorrow, set up an emergency fund tomorrow, I would quickly put money in an institution because you're going to earn some interest. Okay, it's better than putting your money in a safe in your house because it's not going to earn any interest. Earning interest is good because it's going to build up, and the more you put in the account, the more interest you're going to earn, and the more your money's going to grow. Even if it doesn't grow a whole lot with today's rates, it's something still better than nothing. But if you need to establish an emergency fund, check the description below for some guidance there. As far as again, how to allocate the money, I'll get into that in the next video. But that's really all that I have for you in this video. Pretty straightforward. We asked ourselves, what is an emergency fund? What is an emergency fund? And 2, do I need one? For me, everybody needs one, but I think the real question is, how much more do I need to put in my emergency fund for it to be adequate? And so hopefully these 2 questions help you determine whether or not you need one. Do I have enough money to pay for my deductibles? 2, do I have enough money saved up if I experience a career change? So, as always, I thank you for watching. I hope you learned something today, something new, or if not, hope it just re-solidified what you already knew, reconfirmed and reaffirmed what you already knew. I hope that this video positively impacts your life, and if it does, I encourage you to share the video with somebody else that you feel might benefit from watching the video. If you like the video, of course, like it. If you want to leave a comment because you have a question or you just want to leave a comment, feel free to do that. And of course, if you want to check out the next video when it comes out, which is probably going to be in a few days, 3 or 4 days, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and you'll be notified when that new video comes out. It's going to be part 2, titled the same thing, Do I Need an Emergency Fund? Part 2. So yeah, everybody, thank you as always for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful, positive day, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Signing out for now. Take care. Bye-bye.